We have many traditional towns, and some of our biggest things, for example, is a salt cathedral. It is a cathedral. Do you know what a cathedral is, right? 대성당? Yeah, 대성당. It is built inside a salt mine. So a salt mine is people who go and they carve the salt and then take it out to be processed into the regular salt. So inside they have a salt mine. They have a cathedral, and it's very big, very beautiful. You can see all the salt rocks around it.
소금광 하는데 그 안에 그 유명한 큰 대성당이 있대. 너무 신기하다, 그치? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hola, we are group 4 and 5, and I am the tutor Yukisul, and this is the tutor Ije. And we have some questions about your lecture. First, in the novel 100 Years of Solitude, you said there is magical realism. Then I'm curious what that is.
Magical realism. It is a specific genre. Does everybody know what genre means? It is a specific literature genre that starts from South America, and it is about common day things. For example, water. The way they describe water is like water flows down and then it turns right and then it turns left until it meets what it needs to meet. But as we know, reality, water doesn't mean anything. Water just travels in the way it wants to. So it gives sort of a magical life and an exotic view of Latin America and the way things happen. For example, in one of the characters, he is an Arab man that travels for many years. About 700 years. He's seen the rise of man in different cultures until he meets the main characters, and then he dies and then he comes back. Obviously that's not real and humans can't do that, but in the story itself, it kind of gives it a realistic approach to it, like it actually happened. Understand? Alchemist. I have never read The Alchemist, so I don't know. But he is the writer of The Alchemist is Brazilian, I believe, right? Yeah, I believe it's connected, similar to that. Yeah, Pablo Coelho.
Hello, my name is Choi Hyun. I'm curious about what's the mystery of Gabriel's novel.
What's the mystery of Garcia's novel?
Yes.
It's at the very end, if you want a spoiler. So it talks about a family and through different generations, and like in European culture, people would marry their family members, but not like brothers, like cousins and stuff, to keep money circulating in the same family. So at the very end, the last child is born with a tail. So it talks about family and how interconnected they are.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kim Jin-young, and I saw your profile on the handout, and you were born in the United States and immigrated to Colombia. And I wonder the reason why you immigrated to Colombia.
No. My parents are born in Colombia, and they immigrated to America, so they are immigrants. So for me, I'm born in America, but my parents are still Colombian. And I have two nationalities, Colombian. So actually every year I would study in America, like 7 months, 8 months, however many months. And then I would go to Colombia for about 3 months and then come back.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for answering.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
You're group 6 and I'm the tutor of group 6, Yusufin. First, thank you for your great lecture. We summarized what you have said and we had 3 questions. First, and you said that the transportation fee in Colombia is a little bit expensive because there are a lot of mountains or something. And do Colombians build tunnels or roads to shorten the distance, or they like to protect the nature?
That's a very good question. Within the cities themselves, when we are developing better transportation, there are very strict laws about cutting trees inside a city. Colombians like very green cities, so to cut a tree down, there has to be a major problem. For example, they would prefer to have the road going like this instead of straight. just to protect the tree. In the case of tunnels and stuff, Colombia, it has very high mountains, and the mountains are very wide also. So what happens is, also it's in the tropics, so it rains, and the land is very moist. So what happens is that they have to be very careful when they build a tunnel, because there could be a landslide, because there's not enough dry soil to keep the land there. So you start cutting around it, all of a sudden the land goes boom. So they have to be very careful when they build tunnels. And also, I think, generally, people like to preserve the country and its natural beauty.
Hi, my name is Kim Minji. Are there any other kinds of eagle other than condor?
We have, actually, Colombia is one of the countries that has the most species of animals and birds, and especially butterflies. We are the country that has the most butterflies. So we do have a lot of endangered animals, especially some of the birds. The guacamaya, the one that we talked about, the parrot that speaks, is also endangered, and we have some endangered monkeys and things like that.
If so, why Colombia choose condor as national bird?
The condor, I think we chose it. I don't exactly know the reason why it was chosen, but it is it's because, like I said, it's in the mountains. It's a very common bird in the mountains, and probably the settlers chose it based on the fact that it was very common to see.
And our final question is, you mentioned about the 4 countries, and I want to know the relationship of the 4 countries nowadays.
Colombia has very strong ties with the USA, and so does Panama. So Panama and Colombia are very close, and they always strive to develop themselves. However, currently in Ecuador and in Venezuela, the governments of those 2 countries don't always see eye to eye, or don't always agree with Colombian politics or American politics. So sometimes we have a couple of border issues with them, especially with groups that travel inside and out of each countries that cause problems for Colombia and vice versa. So sometimes we have disagreements there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, we are group 7 and 8, and I'm tutor of the group 7 unit, and we have several questions to ask you.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Choi Tae, and I have the question. Can you recommend the famous place that we should go when we travel to Colombia?
Yes. There's so many places. I would recommend that cathedral that I mentioned before. Also, if you have time, Cartagena de Indias. Cartagena is one of our oldest cities, and it has a beautiful fort that looks out into the Caribbean Ocean. And it's a port city, so you can eat delicious seafood, and very traditional culture and activities are found there. So I would really recommend Cartagena.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jo Junhee. I'm 15 years old, and if I'm in Colombia, when is my coming of age ceremony?
When you become an adult? Most Colombians are considered adults at the age of 18. And usually men must register for the military. Women do not. Lucky women. But you would have to register, and in some cases they have military service for men, like in Korea. However, the difference is if you attend university, it is not required to go for the 2 years. Instead, you pay a tax, kind of, for not going.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kim Hyun-tae. I know Colombia's popular coffee is Tinto. I'm curious about Tinto.
Tinto, it is very popular. It is actually, when people come over to visit, we always offer it. So Tinto, or it's like black coffee, is like an espresso in a slightly bigger cup and a little bit more watered down. Not so concentrated, but it's still very strong. And we usually add a little bit of sugar. Some people prefer milk, but sometimes we have a little bit of coffee candy to eat with it.
Thank you.
Hola, my name is Ijo. I'm very interested in soccer, so I want to know about soccer league of the Colombia and famous soccer player in Colombia?
We do have a couple of famous soccer players. Our two most famous, as you know, is Falcao and James Rodriguez. Both of them are super famous. We have our own leagues in Colombia. For example, in my father's town, they have two leagues, America y Deportivo Cali. And in my mother's town, it's Junior, and in the capital, Millonarios. So we have a lot of clubs. Also, those clubs usually compete in the American Cup. And Colombia has a very strong soccer history. And in the American Cup, Once Caldas, which is one of the clubs, won it maybe 1 or 2 times. Gracias. De nada.
Hi, we're from Group 9. In our school, we take class World Geography, and I heard the name of Colombia so many times, but I didn't know much about it. So anyways, we have several questions to ask you. First thing is, do students learn English or other different languages as second language, like Korean students?
Usually English is a required subject, like it is in Korea. However, as I said before, many schools are privatized, so many students go to private schools. Of those, some of them are bilingual schools, usually with English, that being the most common one. However, many of my cousins actually, they studied German. And I believe Chinese is also becoming quite popular now because of the rise of China economically. But usually a European language is most dominant, but overall English is mostly the secondary language. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ho Sang-hyun. I heard many Colombians believe Roman Catholic. Then what's the second most important religion for Colombians?
The second most religion, so Roman Catholicism is a branch of Christianity in which most people follow. Overall though, the second most dominant one would be a regular Christian, like of a certain denomination, like Mormons, Evangelicals, Anglicans, something like that. And then after that, maybe Judaism.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I heard for Colombia and America have conflict each other. Is it to immigrant Colombia to America now?
A long time ago, they did have the problem with Panama. And then in the 80s, there was an internal problem of Colombia that affected the U.S. Politically. But overall, a Colombian does require a visa to enter the United States. So they must apply through the American Embassy to enter the U.S. They can't just go like you can for 3 months or to a different country. However, that ban with America still continues, but with other countries such as Europe, that ban has been canceled starting, I believe, in November. So slowly but surely, it is becoming easier for a Colombian to immigrate or to go to the U.S. You're welcome.
I'm a tutor of Group 10 Yin Han, and we have 3 questions.
In the lecture, we could see coin and bills, and I saw 1,000 peso coin and 1,000 peso bill. Are there only reason for that? And which one do people use more often? 1,000 peso coin or bill?
That's a very good question, actually. Originally, we used to have a 1,000 peso bill, and then we introduced the 1,000 peso coin and canceled the bill. However, the coin was counterfeited. Do you know what counterfeit means? Counterfeit means illegal copy. It was counterfeited a lot, so they restarted making the bill. But now they have changed the design and increased the security of the coin. So what they want to do is cancel the 1,000 bill and reintroduce the 1,000 coin. So they're slowly changing it like that.
Thanks.
We heard about history of Colombia. Were there any historical relationship between Colombia and Korea?
Korea and Colombia. A long time ago, there really hasn't been any connection, but recently Colombia and Korea have been creating a lot more business relationships. A long time ago, not really, but now there's a lot of Korean companies like Hyundai and Kia, and LG and Samsung that sell a lot of products in Colombia, and for a very good rate. So lots of Colombians are buying Korean products. Also, last time I went, when I went to the supermarket, I saw on a Samsung TV, I saw Girls' Generation, they just playing, so I was like, oh. So it's slow. I believe the Hallyu wave also is coming.
It is the last question. We tried to ask about Colombians' recognition about Korea, but you told them.
Yes.
Girls' Generation and Samsung.
They know. For example, Samsung might be a Korean company, and they are slowly starting to wake up to Asia as a whole continent in order to do business. And start to do business with China, Korea, Japan, and all the countries. However, I would say that overall, it's still very new to them. Just like doing business with Colombia is very new to Korea. So they can recognize some things, but not a lot of things. Still, for example, if they hear North Korean news, they might think, oh, South Korea is in danger, like that.
Then, when you moved to Korea, didn't your friends or families worry about?
Some of my family members were worried. They would say like, "Oh, but there's that crazy Kim Jong-un up there." But I reassured them that my father has been to Korea for business purposes quite often, and he knew, and he would tell them, "Oh, it's no big deal. Korea is a very rich and safe country." So when I first came, my father calmed all of my family members and my friends down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you for your excellent lecture, and we have 2 questions for you.
Hello, my name is Chae Young-le. I want to know, does Colombia people like Korean food?
Korean food is quite new to Korea, so the idea of Korean food is very still strange. However, those that try kimchi and like the combinations like pajeon and things like that, Colombians quite do like it. They do like it, especially like pajeon and things like that are very similar to our food. So we do like most of it.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Hwang Se-jung. What kind of season does Colombia have?
So the Colombian seasons is very interesting. So in Korea, they have 4 distinct seasons, like the US or in Europe. Certain months are certain seasons, right? Well, in Colombia, because it is in the tropics, it is usually always warm. However, so it's like a very tropical country. However, Colombia has very high mountains. So for example, Bogota always feels like fall weather, like this. Medellin always feels like spring weather. And there's no winter weather anywhere, but in the coast it feels always like summer. So just depending on where you fly to, so if you fly to the capital, you're in fall. If you fly to the coast, you're in summer.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
자, 잘 들으셨어요? 자, 이제 혹시 많이 못 알아들어서 나 그동안 영어 공부 안 한 거야 뭐야 이렇게 실망한 학생 있지 않죠? 잘 못 알아들으셨어도 걱정 안 하셔도 돼요. 이제 이거를 또 이제 몇 번 지금 이제 이렇게 공개 강좌를 들은 학생도 있을 텐데 오늘 처음 온 학생들도 있잖아요, 그렇죠? 자, 이렇게 하는구나. 좀 리스닝 공부를 조금 더 열심히 해볼까? 그런 마음을 가지고 한 달에 한 번씩 하거든요. 한 달에 한 번씩 참여해서 같이 이런 시간을 갖다 보면 이제 자신감도 좀 생길 것 같고 오늘 발표들도 너보다 잘했어요. 큰 소리도 씩씩하고 자신감도 보였고 저 다음 달에는 12월 19일에 또 할 거거든요. 그래서 잊지 말고 12월 19일 토요일 오전 시간을 비워놓으시고 이제 여기 보면 홈페이지에 들어가셔서 신청하시면 돼요. 그리고 마치기 전에 여기 국제협력단 CICC 여기 단장님께서 공지사항 말씀 잠깐 하실 거예요. 네, 잠깐만 기다려주세요.
네, 안녕하십니까. 충북국제협력단의 정문찬 단장입니다. 저한테 박수 치기 전에 오늘 선생님한테 박수를 한번. 감사합니다. 우리 튜터 비지터분들은 매월 와서 5번째 오늘 CICC 토크 원어민 영어 공개강좌를 위해서 수고해 주셨어요. 공부도 하셨고 또 동생들, 후배들한테 도와주셔서 감사드리고 충북국제연합단 여러분들 들어오실 때 그 인쇄물 나눠드린 거 있죠? 자원봉사 인증할 수 있는 것도 있고 유익한 프로가 많으니까 여기에 학생인원으로 가입을 하면 여러분들이 오늘은 게스트로 오신 거예요. 게스트로 오셔서 그런데 학교에서 자원봉사 시간이 필요하잖아요. 예, 회원이 되면 정식 회원이 되면 자원봉사 시간도 인증이니까 참고로 해주시고 회원으로 가입하시면 좋겠습니다. 그리고 매월 한 차례 넷째 주 원칙적으로 넷째 주 토요일 이 자리에서 10시 반에 해요. 그래서 10시 15분에 체크인을 해서 여기 자연스럽게 들어오시니까 이번 12월 19일에도 기대하시고 매월 할 거예요. 이렇게 오늘 미스터 카스트로 같은 청주 시내에 계신 원어민 선생님들이 오셔서 자기 나라 얘기 또는 부모님의 나라 얘기를 할 겁니다. 많이 관심 가져주시고 미리 공부해 오시는 분들도 있었어요. 제가 보니까 콜롬비아에 대해서 지난달에는 프랑스를 했는데 프랑스에 대해서 아주 미리 많이 준비해 와서 더 많이 알아보기 위해서 노력하는 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 여러분들 혹시 오늘 많이 못 알아들었더라도 절대 실망하지 마시고 이런 걸 계기로 해서 좀 더 많이 알아들을 수 있도록 노력해야 되겠다라는 그런 생각만 들었다 하더라도 굉장히 큰 성과다 저는 이렇게 생각합니다. 여러분들 오늘 아침 일찍 오시느라고 수고하셨어요. 감사합니다.